Whoa! Look what happened. Spring has come to Canada. No, I took a bunch of the plants out of the greenhouse. I've got my geraniums that I pulled out of the ground and saved them. And I just put them out here for the day. That's what I do when it's on a nice spring day. Get the plants out of the greenhouse. And then I've got these solar lights strung really pretty. I think they'll be nice at night. They were in a big bunch. I untangled them. Another one of my beautiful geraniums that I need to deadhead. But the koi are down at the bottom. Let's see what the water temperature at the surface was like 2 degrees the other day. Now it's like almost 40. I don't know if you can see that. Let's get a good look. It's like maybe 38 degrees. What have I done? I took that hose and put the lava rock around it and started a clump of moss, because I think it'll be perfect. Lava rock is absorbent and the moss loves to grow on lava rock. That was just moss I found kicking around. I have moss growing like crazy. Moss around the pond, it can be really beautiful. Look, I brought my ivy that I saved. I pulled it out of a pot and brought it in the greenhouse. But yeah, look at the moss there. That's just moss that was growing on an old shed roof. And I just put some pieces there a year or so ago, and look at how beautiful, like in the waterway. And with that tri-colored spinning ball to simulate a whitewater rapid like you'd see coming down at the mountains. Yeah, I got to take that one cold frame down. I'm raking, I'm scraping. I'm going to get a new gazebo this year. And look at the hornwort. Oh yeah, and that white mark, that was algae I scraped away with the rock. So there's like a layer. I don't know why it's white though. The liner should be black. Maybe it faded over the years. What do I have? Look at the big giant black koi. Is out. I don't know if I'll zoom. There he is. He's very hard to see. But look at the bottom of the pond. Okay, just a few pebbles under the yellow flag. Okay, the yellow flag is starting to grow, and it's not potted in nothing. Like back in 1991, it was in a pot, but it bust out of the pot. I pulled the pot away, and I just let it float. Okay, it floats. The rhizomes are buoyant. Look what happens if I push it down. Okay, you can see that it's floating. See? Floats in the water. Maybe I'll put this like this. Maybe there we go. But yeah, oh, there's the big black koi now. I hope you can see him. There he is at the bottom. He hides under the yellow flag in the winter. They all like to stay close under. But right now they love this current. They've been here for the last month or so. They like the current of water, the fresh water. The fresh oxygenated water is so good for the koi, okay? That's why there's a lot of people down south where it's really hot and their koi get sick and diseased. This is the only place that I do get some debris, because it is carried away downstream and comes down to the bottom where this lily grows giant. Look at the little babies are growing big. When I put those koi in there, they may have bred with the goldfish or something happened. Well, when I put the baby, they were babies, and I think they ate a bunch of the dragonfly larvae and then allowed the babies to grow. I've got, watch out, Beanie. I've got some grooming to do here. Look at the yellow flag seeds. I guess I could probably mail seeds, collect the yellow flag seeds. Here's the seed right there. They're everywhere. My husband has a bunch. He saved them for some reason, but because yellow flag is hard to find right now because it's been declared like a noxious weed. Yellow flags is one of the only true water irises that I know of, growing in waters deep at 3 feet. And the first thing to grow in the spring. They're the first thing. And during a storm in the wild, these yellow flags, clumps would break off and float to the other end of the lake, and that's how they spread. I haven't trimmed off the dead stuff yet. I believe when the plant is ready to shed it, it will shed it. If you ever go look at the marsh along the river, look at the seeds. Anyways, marsh along the river, nobody cleans it. Look, see, it's floating. I can tug it. It floats. It's a massive floating root ball, and the roots lick the bottom of the pond clean. They literally lick the bottom of the pond clean. I can't make this stuff up. So everything comes and flows like the river. There's some koi down here too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 koi there and 8 bigger koi in the top pond. Look at that beautiful moss. Oh, and over there, it's not regenerated yet, but very soon, that is a wool grass bull rush. It's not a rush, but a grass, but it makes seed heads that like a rush, that are round and cylindrical shape. Like this is a rush here. This is a bulrush. So it gets these tall things. Now, if you had a nice marsh, you could it grows in here, but the koi really like to go in that marsh. See how the plant is ready to give away the dead now? So that way all the energy goes back into the plant, right? Let the plant drain all the energy out of the leaves. These are the plants that were in growing in my greenhouse there. And I've been trying to clean up the yard. I have pond lights, and I think with these solar lights, I like how they're hanging. I think it's going to look really pretty. But the koi are slowly waking up from their long winter slumber. Over here you see the yerba manza. Look at the roots and shoots. See, they're coming to life. And this plant is in a pot over here, but don't try to repot it. It jumps out of the pot, it'll make shoots across the water, and it'll grow like on, if you have shallow areas, and it will bloom so beautiful. If you got lots of sun, makes beautiful white smelly blooms. I just love it. Like if you're ever in the area, I can give you a piece. Like look at that. If you're ever in the Medicine Hat area. But look at my ponds. Oops, this bit me. This has leaves stuck in it, but it's really hard to get it out. I should probably take a brush, because this thing is pokey, that aloe vera. It was growing in the greenhouse, and my jade plants are out of control. But everything looks beautiful. Yeah, this is the wool grass bulrush. You can see some of it is greening up. It turns into a nice clump of grass. Here's some of the dead stuff I can pull out. And that's all I do in the spring. I don't trim them in the fall because they make a nice little mound. Yeah, see there's some green roots coming, but it makes a nice little mound. There's some little bits of algae now in the spring. I'm going to have to clean those. Those are my filters. I have 4 here, 2 attached on each end, but they're starting to rise because they suck in all that loose algae and it becomes buoyant. So I'll have to clean them. And it's always about the same time of the year. They'll run all winter. When there's no sun, there's no algae. But as soon as spring comes, oh, the sun grows fast. Every day it's longer and longer. There's another filter right there. Let me see. It's starting to rise to the surface. So I got to get the hose out and I'll get it apart and I'll clean that really good and then it'll sink again. But yeah, I just have the Easy Bio filters. I think there's 3 or 2 attached there. They're heavy to pull out of the pond, but they run all winter, right? I don't have any drains. Everything just sweeps down and out, right? Because drains in Canada where the ground can freeze solid 6 feet is probably not a good idea. It might wreck the plumbing. But I never bothered with a drain. I never even heard of people putting drains in their pond. When I first started in 1991, I wasn't on the internet. There wasn't much information out there. They had pamphlets at the greenhouse for Sarah Water Gardens. If you remember them, that was a German company, I believe. I still have their old pamphlet somewhere. I used to look at that pamphlet, and they talked about, like, the farmers, to keep their koi and everything, would put bales of straw in the pond in the winter so that the pond wouldn't freeze so solid and the koi would survive. The only reason fish would die in a pond is if it freezes too hard, because our ponds are smaller. They have to have an area, right? Like in Canada, 2 or 3 feet of ice. Well, you get about 2 feet of ice usually. If it's smaller little area, the whole thing can freeze if you don't run the water. But yeah, my ground is still froze. Now these leaves will come out, but I was scraping leaves over there and they were still froze to the ground this morning. But everything's defrosting fast. Here's my marsh marigold. It's starting to come. Look, there's even a little leaf. This thing will turn into a massive bush of yellow in the spring. It's the first thing blooming. By Easter, it'll be huge. Bush of yellow flowers, and it's just beautiful. That's good for zone 2. Zone 1, I think that's like an Arctic plant, okay? Although it doesn't grow in the Antarctic, because the Antarctic doesn't get enough sun. They don't get 24-hour sun. That's a big fat lie. That's why they have nothing growing in the Antarctic. You'd be lucky to find lichen growing on a rock. You'd be lucky to explore the Antarctic. No one's ever allowed to go there and explore freely. I wonder what's going on down there, Beanie. Yeah, but anyways, I'm in like zone 2-3 or 3-4. They've rezoned it because they claim it's warmer, but it was minus 36 2 weeks ago. But it does freeze very hard here. This was all in ice just a week or so ago. Like, go look back on my videos. It was like frozen. I was anxious to get the pond going, because you can feel the sun coming out, you know. In the spring, the sun grows. There's my big old koi, and she's starting to wake up. She probably hears me talking. And in the summer, they come right to the top. They're huge. They swim fast. They're beautiful fish. They're never sick because they're like trout. You keep them in ice cold water and they're super healthy. There's no parasites. But if the water gets too warm, like down south and in the UK, they heat their ponds in the winter, and I think they promote the sicknesses because they treat their koi like tropical fish, and they're not tropical. They're cold water, and there's no such thing as half tropical, half cold water. Someone tried to tell me, oh, but they can't survive like that, they would die. No, mine have been out here for 30 years and they are not dead, and the minus 40 below has never hurt them because I keep the water running. As long as you keep the water running, and if you cover it too, wow, that makes a big difference. I mean, I do heat it if it's like a long-term cold. I'll put one 1500 watt heater for all of these ponds, right? And they all flow together, and that does the trick. But I haven't used the heater for a while, and the heater went out when it was like minus 36, really cold, because something threw the breaker in the middle of the night, and I thought the heater had died, and I forgot to check the breaker, so always check the breaker. But anyway, I'm rambling. Yeah, they're gonna come back to the surface here in the next couple days. We got this warm weather. I mean, I'm gonna have to move the plants back in the greenhouse tonight because it'll probably freeze. But oh, it's so beautiful. I can't stand it. I can't wait. Oh yeah, this is that tropical blooming vine. I think I paid $9.99 for it, and it's just growing. I pulled it out of the ground. I didn't want to lose it. Beanie, look at the fish. My Beanaline. She follows me everywhere. She's my dog, and she's always so clean. Her coat's so soft, all the dirt falls off. Like, I wish I had clothes that stayed clean like Beanie. Look at you, Beanie, running in the mud yesterday and everything's clean again today. It just falls off her. Look, there's the black Moray. And like I said, they're not the most healthiest fish, these shabunkins with the fat stomach. They're really inbred, and so they're not as healthy. They're not like a short-tailed comet, are very healthy for the winter. But this guy seems to do well under the ice. And there's another one in the bottom pond, a gold fantail. There she is with the two big koi. They're ornamental goldfish, and they were out below the ice in Canada with those beautiful koi that are growing fast. They were babies a couple of years ago. But yeah, I'll have to get off here. Beanie, what are you eating? Yes. And I'll keep you updated. And like right now, everything's going to change fast. There's sweet flag over there. Forgot to show you. It's coming back, and it's called a Chorus clematis, the Latin name. And they use this sweet flag in a lot of perfumes and stuff. And it'll smell really nice. It's right here. It looks like a yellow flag. It has a spear-shaped leaf, right? And if you crush it and smell it, it smells really pretty, right? And there's some aquatic mint here, and that is another woolgrass bulrush, and then there's some hornwort. This is like a marshy overflow area. It's time to clean it up. See, now in the spring when the plant is ready, it'll give you the leaves. So the dead stuff will pull away. That way all the energy has been drained back into the plant, right? And it doesn't hurt them to lay there. And I like to look at the foliage when they're nice, and you know, even if they're yellow, like a grass foliage will look nice. It's just only started to pat down after the snow, right? But yeah, I'll groom in here some more and do some more raking. The ground was still frozen here. There were bits of ice when I was trying to rake. The leaves were still stuck, but it's the top of the ground is starting to defrost. Yeah, and that's about all I net out is around this oh, lily pad. There's a leaf. Is that crazy? Must be a dead leaf. Froze green, who knows. But that does grow very fast. It's got hornwort all wrapped around it. But yeah, look at how beautiful. Look, I can't make this up. The bottom of the pond has been licked clean. Get a big giant, it doesn't have to be a yellow flag. If you can grow cattails, cattails are powerful sedges, just as powerful as this yellow flag. And I always wanted to have cattails, but they didn't do too well for me because they like it super hot and lots of sun. And I do get sun, but in the afternoon there's no sun. And I think the cattails like the all-day sun. But everything is clean. And even though it's spring, that yellow flag and the marsh marigold are one, and of course the hornwort is out there all winter. They're working to clean my pond. Right, see, it flows like the river. If you ever seen a mountain stream, everything on the bottom is swept clean, and you can see the beautiful rocks because everything flows down, down, down. And that's how I like my ponds. That way you put your biggest koi in the upper ponds because it's the cleanest and most oxygenated. That pond there is a flow through, so there's no drain. There's no coming home in the ponds drain because that can't happen with those ponds. They flow through and have a marsh area. But everybody puts the bottom pond as their main pond, and that's actually a mistake. You should have a marsh. Everything should flow into a marsh. And the bottom pond should be for smaller fish. That way the upper ponds are always clean, right? The surface of my water is always clean, right? Because everything flows down, and it flows through this yellow flag marsh. It's just floating there. But it's amazing how the bottom of the pond is clean. Like it all flows down to the bottom pond to that one area. So you're not going to get a lot waste, right? That's the best way to actually build a pond. They should be like the creek, because when I was building my ponds years ago, I always had one after another, because if you look at the creeks, right, and they flow and the rivers break up 3 or 4 times as fast as the lake. The lake takes forever because it's not a flowing body of water, right? And so the ice sits there forever. But the flowing water, you can see, melts the ice and makes spring come quick. The worst thing is to have the pond covered with a thick layer of ice for too long. That smothers the koi. You don't want to smother the koi. Look at those beautiful koi. I picked them out at Animal World here in Medicine Hat like 2 or 3 years ago. They were really, really tiny, but I thought their colors were really pretty. I'm not sure what they're called. I think they're a tancho something, but if you know, and you're good with the koi names. I'm not. I don't study the different various varieties. There wasn't a lot to choose from 30 years ago. There was a couple of koi at a pet store that's no longer here, and my two biggest koi, right, that pet store doesn't exist anymore, but at the time they had a couple koi in the fish tank, and I had ponds. It was in the early 90s sometime that I got the big white one and the big orange one. And so yeah. Oh, that's the tancho with the red head, the big white one, and that orange one I think is a chagoy. But the ones at the bottom I think are showas, but they have different names for different showas, so I'm not exactly sure what it is, but they are pretty. I love their color pattern. I just love it. Like, they have, the white ones are my favorite. Like, the color pattern is just beautiful. And I guess when you're choosing koi, you want to have colorful koi like that. Although I like my big orange one. She had gold flakes, and the white one had silver on its body, and I thought they were beautiful. So, and I like that big black koi. Was my sister Beverly's a few years back. It was so skinny. Oh my God. I never thought it was going to make it when she gave it to me from her house. She was shutting her ponds down, and that was about 10 years ago or something, and it's nice and fat and healthy, and he has an orange belly now. His belly started to turn orange. Look at the hornwort. Just sits there. It's caught in something, and it's good that way. And the hornwort doesn't do well unless you have a really good pre-filter. Like these ones here don't suck to the hornwort in. Although I gotta clean them, they're rising. That's my next thing on my list of things to do. And that's a beautiful day in Canada.